Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today I want to get into some more bargain hunting or monster flipping. I've had some success recently. I'll share that with you, but then I want to just explore the marketplace and talk about my process. So this video is going to be more oriented around quickly how we've had recent success, but then primarily about what it looks like to find reasonable deals, to find the best deals that are going to flip easily, they're going to maximize your returns. So if that sounds interesting, definitely stick around and stay tuned. And if you like this sort of Splinterlands content and you haven't already, consider subscribing. And if you're interested, you can check out the members only section for the YouTube, or there's some gear. Check out the shop tab. Okay guys, let's get into it. So I've already been doing this for 15-20 minutes because I recently made a sale. I made a sale and a profit of about, I bought it for 45 bucks, sold it for 70. And I put it up on YouTube. I also tweeted it. I say here, November 10th, 2022, buy a haunted spirit, cost 57,412 DEC, 45 USD. November 16th, 6 days later, right? Sell the same haunted spirit for 83,000 DEC or 70 US dollars. So to some people who've kind of been questioning around like the DEC profitability, for one thing, I am making DEC. It's important for you guys to know that. But this idea that I might lose DEC is technically possible on these things, and you need to navigate that wisely. But at the end of the day, if when a sale happens, you take that US dollar profit and you reinvest it in new cards, I don't really technically care if I made a DEC profit or not. But as you can see, we did here. This was selling a haunted spirit, and it wasn't a level 1. It was I forget what it was, level 5 or something, level 6. We could see that if we're interested, but let's just keep monsters bargain hunting and looking for a monster flip. So I'm in my betas. That's where I like to start. I'm looking at regular foils because I don't have the sort of, for two reasons. One, gold foils have a lot less liquidity in terms of buying and selling pressure, right? They have fewer cards on the market. They have higher price points. There's fewer interested buyers. Whereas regular foils have a wider range of interested parties and therefore have more purchase pressure and therefore more likelihood of that deal closing in a shorter period of time. So I like to look at regular foils primarily, but that doesn't mean there's not good flips in the gold foil. It's just we start at least with the regular foils. And I like to go beta because again, price is important. Alpha is kind of almost a niche market where it's like an older player usually, right? It's a person who's considering having high level success in the wild, for instance. They've been here for a while. Maybe they play tournaments or they're in guilds. That's not exactly everybody. That's a certain niche of this market. Betas are a bit more widely applicable. And there's actually more betas. If you don't know this, there's actually more betas than there are alphas because there's no neutrals in alpha. I don't know if you know that, but if you just quickly, just to show you, with beta, we have these neutrals. With alpha, we have 0 neutrals. That was one addition that came from the alpha to beta. So you have more cards within the beta realm. And then it's usually not the cards that are cheapest, unfortunately. So if you're looking at betas, you probably need, 20 to 80 bucks to sort of invest for this sort of flip. If you don't have that, you might want to try promos, rewards, or untames even. There's going to be some cards in there that probably have flippability. But I'm looking in betas, regular foil, and I'm primarily looking for tanks. Tanks first and foremost, but carry cards too. What you would consider a carry card is absolutely it has the option and the ability to be a flippable asset. And that means within the betas, I'm looking at cards like Silver Shield Knight, Spineback Turtle, Skeleton Assassin, Pit Ogre, Split Ogre, Silver Shield Paladin. None of these cards at this point have I found, and I've looked at them all already, and I haven't seen anything that makes them, any purchases that are really available that are ready to be flipped. With the exception of perhaps this Frozen Soldier, which I'm not going to purchase, but I'll show you, I'll demonstrate for you for the purpose of kind of articulating what could be flippable. I'm not going to buy it. So if you watch this video, you might come in and snag this and do what I'm about to show you as possible. But look at this. Frozen Soldier, first of all, is this a good card? Yeah, it's a strong card. It is kind of niche because of the high armor and the low hit points. It has Magic Reflect, which makes which is always awesome. I love Magic Reflect, but the low hit points means that usually if it's in fact using this ability, that means it's receiving magic damage, and the magic is cutting past the armor, and therefore it is likely dying within 2 shots, and therefore the Magic Reflect doesn't really necessarily accumulate in a significant manner. For that reason, the Frozen Soldier can be quite niche. I would argue it's really great in sort of in melee from any position situations, because I like to have it in my rear as a shield defender with that high armor, and it still does good damage output, 4 at the highest levels, 3 in the medium. Strong card from a melee from any position. Additionally, strong card when weak magic rule set is in effect, which is the rule set where magic hits armor regardless of whether you have void armor. So this does not have void armor, but weak magic rule set will allow this armor to defend you against magic monsters. So that Magic Reflect gets so much more utility in that context. And so this card is absolutely strong. It's just in the right context. I do think it's a good card. I think it's worth having, especially for the 6 mana and what it is capable of doing. I really like it. And these are reasonable price cards, man. Like $75 for a max level Frozen Soldier to me is a bargain. In terms of a long-term hold, if you like this card, first of all, this is not exactly where I want to aim with this video, because I want to focus on flips, but bargain hunting is this complicated thing where you're in part looking for long-term investments, and you're in part looking for easy flippable assets. So it's both ends of that spectrum. And this card here with $75 to me strikes me as a long-term investment. I think this is a good card. 65 cents per BCX is a notable distinction between the next cheapest card. That's a marker that the price is worth your attention. So if you like the card, is the price reasonable? And if the price is, what is that? I'm going to say that's, I don't, off the top of my head, is that like, 15, 20% cheaper, 15% cheaper than the next lowest max level copy? That's significant. So again, if you like the card and if you play at a high level, I say that this is a very worthwhile consideration at $75. It's even, and another marker of whether the price is affordable is look at the high bid. The high bid price is higher than the price being asked for this card. Now, remember, the high bidder is looking for probably 1 or 2 or a few BCX, not 115. So that's part of why the price changes. But at the same time, this is a relatively reliable rule of thumb for where, what would a reasonable price be? If you find your per BCX price is cheaper than the high bid, that's an indication you're getting a decent deal. So strong card, reasonable price. If you're playing at a high level, I'd say this is worth purchasing from a long-term investment or utility standpoint. But then from the flip standpoint, we have 2 here that are worth looking at. We have one for 86 cents. We have one for 88 cents, and they both have low BCX. That's important, right? You need to have that low BCX because it attracts more buyers. And then the price point is within the realm of comparability to these max level copies, which is usually, in my opinion, a mistake. Now, it's not necessarily a mistake because maybe the seller is just simply eager. And they're eager to get the $13 US, the $18.50 US for their 2 respective sales. If they're eager, you price your things accordingly. You're happy to get rid of it. You don't care, in terms of, are you getting the best bang for your buck? The seller might not care. But in terms of how I handle sales, I would never price it in this way because the comparability is this 15 BCX card is going to appeal to so many more interested parties than 115 BCX. And therefore, why would the price be comparable? Why should it be anywhere near, right? It shouldn't. The answer is it should not be anywhere near the max BCX cost. And it is quite near, especially compared to this one. 9 cents, right? 9 cents differential, like 10% differential-ish. This should be at least 40% higher. And in part you can tell, not just because of math off the top of my head, but look at the rest of the cards for sale here. You've got these 2 are really similarly priced and their BCX is very similar. But then the next card, 35 BCX, is $1.20 per BCX. Now, this one hasn't sold, so you might say $1.20 is not a reasonable price. Well, maybe, but I would argue that the $1.20 is a reasonable marker for a few BCX of this card, because we've got that example, we've got that example, we've got that example, and so on, and down we see even higher, $1.40, $1.50, $2. So I actually think you could buy both of these, and you would have, that's the trick, you would have to buy both of them. This one for 15 BCX, this one for 21, you'd be spending $13 US, and you'd be spending 31, 32 US dollars to get both of these copies. And then what you end up doing is you reframe the entire, it's like market manipulation on a low end, right? On a low scale. Like, you are coming in and you are changing the floor for that low BCX copy. These two are markedly different than this one. That's almost a 50% increase, right? You go from 80 cents to $1.20 is 50% more value. Now, you could buy these 87 and 88 cent cards and increase the price. So I'm going to say $1.10 to still be, no, I'm going to say $1.19, because you're financially cheaper and you're actually monetarily cheaper. You're like, per unit, you're cheaper. And on the total sum of the card, you would be cheaper than this card because it has greater BCX. Plus, these cards having lower BCX, again, apply to a wider range of buyers. So you are going to appeal on many, many levels. So I'm going to say you could buy both of these, $30, and probably resell them for cumulatively $45, a $15 profit, a 50% profit. Maybe it's something like buy them for 30, sell them for 40. You know, we could quickly do the math. Call it 88 cents. We're 15 BCX plus 21 BCX. What is that? 36 BCX. 36 BCX times, call it 89 cents was the going rate. So you pay $32 for those cards, and then you're going to relist them. 36 BCX, remember, 36 BCX. So we go 36 BCX times, you're going to relist it for $1.19. Like we said, that would put you a penny cheaper per BCX than the other low seller, and you're going to get what, 42.84, but then there's a 5% fee, so you got to go 0.95, so you're going to get $40. You're going to get $40 for your sale, and you paid 32, so there's an $8 profit, which, so we go 40 divided by 40, I think it was 32.50-ish. No, is that right? Yeah, 25% profit after fees, after everything. If they both sell, you're talking 25% profit on a card like that. And so to me, that's an interesting option and worth consideration. Now, I'm not buying it for a couple reasons, and I want to talk through that because it helps you, hopefully it'll help you understand, have a deeper understanding for where the good deals are at. I gave good reasons why those two purchases are flippable, why it's a good card, and why it could be profitable, significantly profitable. 25% profitability is pretty significant after fees. So why don't I buy it? Well, a couple reasons. One, there's actually a lot of sort of interesting competition, and I actually want to minimize my competition. I don't want this 35 BCX would be my competition. This 35 BCX would be my competition. This 11 would be my competition. Now, they're priced more than me, but if somebody wanted 35 BCX, which is exactly a level 6, they're going to be attracted by that one or that one. And then if somebody wants like a lower BCX, like 11, which is exactly a level 4, that's going to grab their attention, even though they have to pay a bit more per BCX. And so the distractions pulling people away from the cards I would be buying and putting on the marketplace are significant. And cards like this with the 15 BCX are odd. They don't have, they are not an exact level. So there's 4 BCX in here that are adding 0 value to this card. Do you see that? Right? Well, they're not 0 value because it's collection power for you. It's also moving you closer to that next level of level 5. So it's not no value, but it is 4 BCX of that card, roughly $3 US, or what I would be selling for almost $5 US, right? Because 4 BCX times $1.20 is about $5. So I'm essentially building in almost a $5 cost to the buyer of what I would be selling this card. And the buyer's not getting anything out of it, not significantly anything out of it. And so this card actually becomes less desirable because of the odd number of BCX. And so the competition on the marketplace, the odd BCX level, and the fact that I would have to buy 2 of them. are 3 reasons why I'm not buying the soldier. But again, I do think there's profit to be had there, and it's maybe worth your consideration. I didn't see the Silver Shield Paladin. I've sold a few of these recently, and this is one that moves. Now, they don't have anything significantly sort of reasonable there. No profits to be had there. Clay Golem, nope. Water Elemental. I'm looking for similar things that I just pointed out with that frozen, whatever he's called, Frozen Soldier. And I'm not seeing it so far. Actually, that might have been, well, let's see, 22 BCX, $1.50. No, I feel like it's accurately priced. Earth Elemental. This is maybe interesting. If you had a $1.50, this 1 BCX could be bought for $1.49 and probably relisted for, you know, $1.90 or even $2, and you just sit and forget about it. And at some point, someone's going to buy that thing. And that's a 25, you know, a 30% increase after fees, maybe a 25% increase or whatever on your, but that's not going to go fast necessarily. And the margins are not significant enough for me to care. Let's keep looking. This could be interesting. Hang on a second here. Cobalt Miner is an amazing sneak attack monster. It's very, very pivotal in the wild for the fire team. It's very strong, especially at higher levels, meaning that people often want to max it out or get it up into the like 172 BCX. So 14 is going to be desirable to many purchasers. It's $1.28, which is the lowest card on the marketplace. That's always a great sign. When you have like a low end BCX card, 14 BCX among a card that goes to 500, that's really low BCX, therefore desirable to many players. Then the price is also the lowest on the marketplace. That's very interesting. So we buy for 18 maybe. And what could we list it for? Well, this competitor here is selling for $1.37. That would be a floor for us, right? We wouldn't be able to, we couldn't sell it for more than this guy. We could do what we said with the Frozen Soldier and buy the market and then just manipulate it, right? Like we buy both of those. The next closest is $1.80. We could buy both of those and sell them for $1.60 or $1.70. And we're now the lowest on the marketplace. The question then is, because you're buying multiples of a copy of a card, it's one of the rules I've shared with you before is, are you going to be okay holding this card like from a utility standpoint? Let's say it doesn't sell. Are you happy to hold that thing for a long time and maybe just enjoy using it? Well, that works when you buy one copy, right? If you buy one copy, let's say we buy one copy of the Cobalt Miner and it looks interesting and we could use this level 4 Cobalt Miner on our deck and we think that would really help us. So we could be confident that if the flip doesn't work, I can still use it. That's great. That's one of the reassurances that really allows me to move confidently into flips. And you should look for that. Does it add value to your own playing, your own deck? If it does, that's one more level of confidence. But in this context, I would have to buy 2. And then I'm going to have a second copy that I don't need? I guess I could buy both, merge them together, and enjoy a level 5. But I feel that's not the best play either. So it would be buying both of them, spending about $40, $38, relisting them for 50 cents more each, for BCX each, which I guess would amount to something like, is that $10 profit? After tax, probably 10, or after fees, $10 profit. And then if it didn't sell, because there is a fair bit of competition in here, then maybe saying to myself, okay, maybe I do merge them eventually. So again, I'm not going to pull the trigger on that one, but that's one to think about. If you're watching the video, you're looking for flips and you got that sort of, I think that's a reasonable one. I like it when there are times where you're going to get 50%, like you're going to get a substantial amount of profit and your card stands alone in terms of its resaleability, in terms of its appeal. Those are, of course, the better ones. In both those examples, the Frozen Soldier and the Cobalt Miner, there was enough options on the marketplace, enough distraction pulling buyers away from me where I become less excited about that. if I want to lock up value, if I want to move things like that Haunted Spirit I just did in 6 days, I find the best way to do it is to make sure that you are isolated in terms of the product you're offering. And then you can say with so much certainty for probably 3 to 5 different reasons, I am the best. This card is so worth more because of these 4 or 5 reasons, and I will sell it. I know that there are times where you have that confidence, and with both of those Frozen Soldier and Cobalt Miner examples, I feel there's too much noise, too much kind of white noise in the background that those might end up sitting for a while. And so I don't need to be greedy about buying everything that looks like it's flippable. I can be very selective in looking. So Feral Spirit is another card that I love. 25 BCX. This is well leveled. It's great when the cards are well leveled. Again, if there was 26 BCX in here, it becomes less interesting. If there was 50 BCX, because I wouldn't quite be there, but I'd be having a lot of useless BCX wrapped into it, that would be bad. 25 is really interesting. It's a desirable number, and we're talking $1.39 per. But there's no resale ability. There's no flippability unless I went in and bought all 4 of them. And even then, I got competition here. I'd have to buy too many, so that's a no. Peacebringer is a great card. Not enough margin. There is a flip there, but not enough margin in my opinion. There's $5 to be made. Twisted Jester. Nope, thanks. Haunted Spirit. Not today. Summoners. We could look at Summoners separately in a moment. Nope. I'll look at Summoners in a moment. Undead Priest. This is interesting. Every time the low BCX is at the top, that's always grabs my attention. $2.50. $2.70. $2.90. The margins aren't big enough. Maybe, again, I could buy both of them, but the margins aren't big enough. And that's a great card. I love that card. But no thank you. Not today. Ooh, this is interesting. Look, 21 BCX, $2.26. And maybe I could sell it for $2.50 each. No, that's only a 10% increase on my purchase price. No, unless I bought these singles. Oh, if I bought those 2 singles... Right? If I bought those 2 singles and I bought this 21, which is key. 21 is key because it gives the Inspire. So that's a very sellable level Enchanted Pixie. I buy that one for $47. And I buy a couple of these to just raise the floor a bit on the 1 BCX value of this card. And then I list me for, $3.20 after I get rid of that. Yeah, that's an interesting play. Then you're almost a 50% profit. And I'm going to try that one. Why? Because Enchanted Pixie with the Inspire is actually really powerful. It's a low mana cost neutral monster that has magic. So if you're using +1 magic summoners, you love these lower magic monsters that do 1 because they become 2 lower mana. You get so many of them theoretically out there. It is low on the hit points, which is one of its vulnerabilities, but at this level it's got 3. And I actually like this a lot. With Lux Vega, because the 1 armor is going to take away some of the vulnerability, and that Inspire is going to be really helping. Inspire for 3 mana is so clutch. So yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to buy that one, and we're going to buy a couple of these one-offs. Oh, no, never mind. Check this out. I got to delete that for a second. Boom. So look, I almost made a big grievous error. The floor here is actually thicker than I thought. If I'm going to manipulate the price on the floor, I actually need to buy 63 separate BCX. So that is not going to work for me. The substantial margins are really not there. There is margin. This is a good card. You buy it, you're going to sell, you're going to be able to relist that for $2.60, 40 cents per BCX, $8 profit after fees, $6 profit, maybe 5. But again, not big enough for me to care. And then as your margins are getting quite small, you have to remember you may have to reprice these things later. And so if you don't get a massive margin on right away at the time of purchase, you have to kind of be worried. Let's say that doesn't sell, and let's say I decide I really need to liquidate that. Well, my margin was 10 10% at the beginning. If I lower my price again, what am I going to get? 5%? The fees, after fees, maybe I'm breaking even. That doesn't make sense. You need to have like a good 30 to 50% margin before you can confidently feel this will sell, or I'll lower the price, and I'll still profit. 32 BCX, 4.5, nope. Enchanted, nope. Serpent, nope. Naga, nope. Earth Elemental, 1 BCX, $4.90. Nope. Banshee, maybe? Nope. So, Fire Demon? This is the card I want. So if there was some options here, I really like that. It's one of those I want it anyways. So if I was to take a risk on a flip and know full well it could end up being a long-term hold because the flip doesn't work out, a card like Fire Demon or Defender of Truth would be one I'd be happy personally, because I don't think I own either of them. Look, 775. It's just too much money though. There's an interesting amount of margin there where I think you could probably buy this for $350 and sell it for another $50. But again, the margin, that is not a huge. 11. Nope. No thanks. Magi Sphinx. Angel of Light. We're starting to get a bit pricey, right? So we'll check out Summoners now. Summoners. No. Oh, maybe. No, not exactly. I hope you see what I'm looking for. Low BCX at the top of the list. Low BCX at the top of the list. This could be interesting. Let's see here. $300 for this Alrek. We pay 39 BCX. I don't love that it's over leveled. That's one problem, but it's not crazy over leveled. Just got 4 BCX in there. So let's say we paid $790 for that. I think we could relist that thing for, I think we could relist that for $400-ish. Maybe, we could $90 profit. That's about a 30% increase in the price point. And then I would theoretically have an Alrek up my sleeves, right? Like a level 6, a gold, like a level one appropriate for, this is a strong maybe here for me. Now I know most of you guys couldn't do that, and the price point's not cheap. But one, it's potentially flippable for a reasonable profit. Two, it's a strong card that has a lot of sort of desirability. 3, the BCX level is appropriately low. It's not super high. It's not 61 or 70 or 100. And lastly, I actually could use this card. I play a lot of the beta brawls on my guild. This is interesting to me. That might be where we land, but let's keep looking. I'm going to just remember that and come back later. I don't think that's going to sell anytime soon. I will be the buyer if there is a buyer. No, I'm not going to get into those ones. So Alrek is a strong maybe. I don't really want to even look at the gold foils. It's just a bit crazy. What about Alrek over here? If I'm going to buy an Alrek, I got to then check the Alrek alphas and see. Interesting, the price point on the alpha is actually the same per BCX roughly. Give her like just a little more for alpha. But this is a max level copy, so it's so much more expensive. This is even interesting. Like the separation between this alpha, and this alpha. So this is now another league higher in terms of purchase price, 800. But I bet you buy this and list it for 1100, and you're competing with this guy, and that's a good margin for profitability. Now maybe it doesn't sell, and again, are you happy to hold that long term? So I feel like this video is turning out to me giving you guys bargain hunt opportunities, flip opportunities that I'm not necessarily even going to take advantage of, but that's okay. Like, that's the thing. Like, maybe we're all at different places. If you have $5 to invest with, you are looking for certain flips. If you, and I showed a couple that could make 50 cents or $1. There was a couple 1BCX cards that were slightly lower. I think our Water Elemental was one of them. Air Elemental was another, I think. And maybe that's what you do for flips, but maybe some of you have even more money than me, and some of these big alphas can be an opportunity. Like, look at this alpha, Tyrus 47. Where are you? So he's almost perfectly leveled to a level 7. A level 7's a weird level because it doesn't really fit in. It's better than gold. It's lower than diamond. But you could buy it for $339, $7.20 per, and then you could probably relist that thing for, you know, I'm going to say $12, $11. This is now my number one. This is now my number one consideration. Yes, the value is huge. Yes, this would be a long-term hold. It probably wouldn't sell it'd take a month or so before it sold, if it sells. And then I might just end up saying to myself, I'm going to keep it. But that's super interesting to me. The profit margins are huge, right? You could buy it for $340. And I think I could relist for, let's say, let me figure this out exactly. We got 47 BCX. $47 times, what was it? 7.213. So that's the cost to me today. And then if I relist for 47 times, call it 11. See, I actually think it could be listed for more. I think it could be listed for more than this guy. But say I wanted a price better than this guy to just attract certain interested parties, I could mimic his price at 11,047. And I think that's probably the way to make it move the fastest. Just call it 11. No, 11,047. That's exact duplicate of the higher competitor. Sell it for $519. So I buy it for $339 and I resell for $519. So $339, is it that way? $339 divided by $519. A 65% profit, right? Am I doing that right? The purchase price $339 divided by the sale price $519 is, yeah, 65% greater than my. That's a huge margin, and a card I would love to own, and a card that would help me in the brawls that I often fill for my guild. So that Alrek is a strong contender, not the alpha. Remember, the beta Alrek at $300, or the alpha Tyrus at $339 is even more profitable and even more sort of long-term interesting because it's a level 7, meaning I could use it in diamonds and champion fights and feel quite strong about it. $7 here. No, that's interesting. Buy that for $28. Relist for 36. Interesting. Alrek. Ooh. Nope. This competitor scares me away. I love this. I love that for that price. Where are we? 26. That's level 6. That's a gold league level card for 100. Alpha Malrek for $150. Guys, if that's a bargain, in my opinion, in terms of what it offers, the alpha utility, the brawls utility, the tournament utility, the land investment utility, alphas are going to be super important. The percentage bonuses to your DEC payouts, that plus Malrek's a strong card, and 3 mana is a good card. I like that. Is it the best summoner? No. It's a strong summoner, though, in the right context, and it fits those brawls and those tournaments I mentioned. So for $150, getting a gold level 1, but it's not a flip because of this guy here. It becomes non-flippable. Nope. Whoa. Bit too rich for my blood. So a couple summoners there on the beta and the alpha. And those are, of course, summoners are because they're so pivotal to play. They are going to be among the more bought and sold assets in the game. Therefore, that's one of the reasons why. Plus, the margins were available. Plus, they fill a niche on my deck anyway. So if I end up keeping them, I'm going to be happy. So strong candidates between the beta Alrec and the alpha Tyrus. But I do want to keep looking. And now we're looking into promo cards. Nope, I don't like the Goblin Chief. I'm just gonna look at cards I really like because it's starting to go. This is feeling a bit like a work to me now, and I like to do this in a short little snippet where I feel as though I'm actually enjoying navigating the market. Today, this is turning long for me. I don't usually ever do it this much in a day. I usually literally it's 15 minutes in a day, if that. It might just be 5 minutes in a day, or even 5 seconds if I haven't sold a card. But you know, I just sold that Haunted Spirit for $70. And so I'm eager to kind of put that to work. No, Fiendish Harpy. I don't think any of these are going to work for me price point wise. Electric Eels. Okay. Let's move on. Reward. I'm not going to even check the new ones. There is flip potential in there, but the profitability would not be substantial. There's likely no profits. And if there are, it's going to be trivial. To me, trivial. I'm going to scroll down until I see something that's quite powerful and is a bit older, is not currently in circulation. Undead Minotaur is an interesting card that I think has quite a bit of utility and is possibly worth looking at. Nope. Demented Shark, definitely. Nope. Oh, Uraeus. No. See, this is currently in circulation, and you see how the prices are just so tight. And there's so many listed cards. There's just too much competition. Goblin Mech. This is interesting. 21 cents, and I probably could relist for 28 cents. I'd have to buy both. And is what are we getting there? We buy for 21 cents. See, we buy for 21 cents and we can relist for 20 or 30% more, but then we have to buy this one too, and we can only list that one for 5% more or 10% more. I don't like the fact that I have to buy two of them. Vulture, such a good card. 28 cents. Nope. Monkey. Sea Genie. Sea Monster. I think we might be taking a big bite here, going for one of those summoners. Another consideration to think about is the fact that if I do pull the trigger on one of those summoners, I'm tying up most, if not all, of my existing investment account. So, unless it then sells or something else sells, I am going to be, hamstrung from, I guess, daily reinvestments like this, right? It's all of my assets tied up in one sort of opportunity. Now, the margins are substantive enough. And like I said, the whole picture of why that card would work for me is broad and like sort of, significant enough. There's enough justifications that might well be worth my full commitment, my all in. Just like if you know poker, sometimes you get pocket aces and you watch the table, but like at times you just need to push. You need to push all the chips in. It's a lot of the same here, guys. I'm not repeating myself exactly every time, but I'm seeing a lot of the same sort of non-opportunities. This is something worth looking at. $1.81, $1.88 per BCX. 12 BCX is a level 4. And then you could relist for probably $2.50. But then you're going to compete with this guy. And I just don't know if that's the wisest investment for the margin available. Shadowy Presence, Firemancer, Kelp Initiate, Chicken, nope. Lich, I like the Lich a lot. I like the H a lot, but nothing there. Lots of good cards, lots of reasonable prices, but not a lot of sort of flippable stuff. Okay, so I'm almost ready to surrender, but this is just me trying to really, now I'm really walking through it for your guys' sake too, more than anything at this point. Like I definitely, if I wasn't doing a video, I absolutely would stop now, and I would now turn my focus entirely to those two summoners and really think through, you know, the next level of whether that makes sense for me right now. Because the trade can make sense and yet not make sense for me right now. It could make sense tomorrow, but it might not make sense today. That's the thing about investing, right? There's trades and flips and long-term investment and different, and your financial situation changes, and all that volatility feeds into whether something makes sense on any given day. Look at this guy. This is first of all, this is a good card, level 22. It's a strangely leveled BCX card, which is super annoying. It doesn't have the repair, which is so important for this card's utility. It's a low price though. If you currently need a lone boatman, and let's say you need 22 BCX for your lone boatman, this is a really great price. First of all, lower than the high bid. Second of all, it's far lower than the next lowest card, and it's you know, 30% cheaper. 30% cheaper than the 1 BCX copies. Yeah, that's an interesting buy, especially if you need 22 BCX, but I don't like it exactly for a flip. Feasting Seaweed, great card. Serpentine Spy. I'm about ready to give in here, guys. $6. Nope. 32. Nope. Okay. No. I feel I shared, I think after that, that's a pretty deep dive on the bargains available on the market today. That's a pretty deep dive on the flips available. We didn't touch some of the modern cards. It's certainly possible. It's always possible that even a modern card that's currently, whether it's Chaos Legion, whether it's Rift Watchers, you can find deals in there that are flippable. It's possible through bid buying that you're gonna pay 50% of the total value of a legendary card or an epic card and find margin for flipping. But I didn't do that today. I'm not doing that because when you do bid buy flipping, you really need to you need to set the bid, and then you need to monitor that you remain the higher bid. Then you need to wait for a seller to sell into you and then identify that sell. It just, to me, it's more work. I like to find the deals that are listed and activate through purchasing them. And with that today, it feels as though it really comes down to the alpha and beta summoners that we talked about. And they were both rare. So let's see again. We got a $310 Alrek. If I was to buy this one, first of all, I like that it's level 6. That's pretty cool. It's level 6, and that's going to appeal to a wide range of investors and renters, and it's going to help me specifically, like I said. Plus, I do really like Alrek. Yes, Magic has gotten weaker with a lot of the Magic Reflect, but in the tournaments and the brawls I'm talking about, he still remains very significant and strong. $310 is a significant amount of money. It's not all my money. It would leave me with roughly $100 left over. That's a good amount to still be kicking around and finding deals with. It's renting. Apparently it's renting. Yeah, that's an interesting conversation. What does the rent look like on these cards? So rent. Let's go rare level. I want to see level 6 with summoners. More life. Alpha beta. So let's just go beta first of all. Alaric is renting, a level 6 is renting for 84 DC a day. Yeah, 80 to 90 DC a day. And we go 90 times 365 times 0.0008. 26 bucks a year to rent that thing versus the Tyrus, which was an alpha. Now, the Tyrus was a level 7, but remember, I just feel like that's not likely to make that much of a financial difference. I doubt there's probably not even, look, there's not even an alpha Tyrus at level 6. Is there a level 7? There's just too little liquidity. Oh, there is a level 7 Tyrus. And look, that level 7's renting for less, 50 cents a DEC. So in terms of rental profitability, the Tyrus costs more, returns less, and you know, and I would argue is not as good a card as the Alaric from the utility standpoint, right? The +1 magic is certainly, I think, more powerful than Tyrus. Not to say I don't like Tyrus, I do, but apples, you know, apples and oranges, and I think I prefer the Alaric. Plus, the Alaric leaves me with, but there was more profitability on the Tyrus, wasn't there? This is what I want you to do when you find something. Let's say you're going to go through your own searches. You're going to find 2 or 3 purchases. Don't panic and buy it before, like, oh, it sounds like a great deal, I better get it. Stop, like, kind of note it and keep looking and decide if there's an even better deal, because you only have so much money and probably you're only buying 1 card on a given day. So just go through and make sure you feel confident about that purchase. And then when it gets to a place where you're really quite sure, yeah, I do want to do it, it's between this or that, well, really slow it down and say to yourself, you know, do I really want to do this? And think about it through from every angle you can imagine. The Tyrus was $339, and I thought I could sell it for 11 bucks each, right? So 47 times 11, 517 minus 339. It's actually something like, so watch this. It's 47 BCX times 11. That's how much I would be selling it for, but then I only get 95% of that. And then I minus 339. So the profitability is like literally, you know, 45% or something. That's huge profitability. Huge. So that's the Alaric. Or no, that's the Tyrus. And we're going to try the same thing from the Alaric standpoint. Alaric over here, beta. We buy it for 310, and we would relist it for... See, if I relist it for... I would relist it for 10 per BCX. No, I'd list it for 1050. And I'm going to be competing against these guys. But the problem is I'm also competing against him. And someone is definitely... Like, most people are going to go ahead and buy... Are they, though? Level 6 is more desirable than level 7. So are they going to go and buy him for 8 bucks? Or are they going to buy me for 10.50 or something like that? I think I've got a good chance of being the desired card. If I buy that one at 8 bucks and I resell for 10, I think I've got a good chance, or even 11. So we go, how many BC? 39 was it? 39 BCX. 39 times, let's go 1050. We'll say we get 409 bucks out of the deal. Oh yeah, but we got to do times 95 times my after fees. I get 389, and I have to pay 310 for it. So look at that. You know, we're 80 bucks profit versus a potential 150 bucks profit for a very similar financial investment. Ooh, but I would argue that the Alaric has more personal utility to me. So this is the two, you know, it's, you know, 6 in one, half dozen in other. Like, yeah, there's potentially more profit on the, there's almost certainly more profit on the Tyrus. Almost certainly. And I want it, but despite the smaller profit margin on the Alaric, there was like a 30% greater rental return on my Alaric. And then I would say the Alaric will be more liquid because it's a lower BCX, it's a beta, and the Alric is probably more desirable than the Tyrus based on the rental fees. That's a tough decision, man. If I end up buying that I think if I end up buying the Tyrus, I bet I end up keeping the Tyrus. I suspect that takes a long time to sell. I think if I buy the Alric and I price it accordingly, my margin is smaller, but I bet we actually sell it. Now, is that margin substantive enough for me to roll the dice on it? What are we talking here? So 310 is the cost, 389 is the profit. So we go 25% profit. Yeah, it's a 25% profit. So it's a 25% profit. Man, that's significant. My last reservation, I'm leaning towards Alric. My last reservation is that the profit here is, if I swing with this and hit the home run, that's a substantial win, man. That's a really substantial win. There's only 24 of the Tyruses. There's 100 of the Alrics. And there's a lot of competition out there on the Alric. You know what? I'm going for it. Oh, I might regret this. I'm going for it. Boom. Alpha Tyrus level 7. Who do you buy it from? After the sale goes through, you can see who you bought it from. Market history. Purchase. Full-time geek. Well priced, my friend. You made me. If it was even a little bit more expensive, I would have probably walked. I would have went with the Alric. But yeah, I don't like that it's level 7. I don't like that it was more than the Alric in terms of like the cost outlet that I needed to outlay. But the margin was there. You priced it well. Good for you. I hope you're happy too, full-time geek. And now I am going to relist it, and we'll see what happens. It'll be one of those. I'll let you guys know how that goes. Let's go my cards, Alpha. And if this doesn't sell in the short term, when my brawls come along, I will unlist it and I'll go ahead and say I'll put it to use, right? I'll put it to use. Now I want to price this accordingly. Buy Alpha. So I think competitively we can price $11. $11.50 is probably reasonable. Yeah, I'm going to try it. Again, I'm okay with it not selling. Like I said, that's so important. You got to be okay with it not selling. We go. That's not the way. That was almost a big mistake. 47 times 11.5 is 540. Yep. Make it happen, Captain. Level 7 Tyrus, $540 US. Just bought it for $339. Now, it's certainly possible that doesn't sell. And again, I'm okay with that. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. If you're interested in those deals, if you like this sort of analysis of the marketplace, first of all, figure out your peak monster stuff, guys. This is the best site. They have certain abilities here that no other website has. Not to mention rewarding you through PKM when you do purchases like that. I through that purchase, I would have received PKM tokens. And so get on Peak Monsters, get involved, figure this market out. It's the best market that exists in Splinterlands, in the Splinterlands space. And if you like this sort of content and this deep dive analysis, make sure you like and subscribe, especially if you stuck around to the end, guys. Thanks so much for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. God bless.